Thank you for being here to let me interview you. I have 3 questions to ask you. The first one is, what is your perspective of Gandhi and his teachings?
I was born in 1937, the Second World War times, and under British colonial rule, and it is important for me to give you that framework to talk about Gandhi. And Gandhi was one of our independence leaders, and I could tell you about my interactions. When I was about 5 years old, 1942, we had this big quit India movement where we wanted the British to leave India and leave it for ourselves to govern. At the same time, we were evacuated from our city of Madras because the eastern ports were all evacuated inside, fearing the Japanese. And so we were all transferred to Delhi, and my sister and myself were taken by our uncle to visit Gandhi in Birla House. The one thing I remember him, we went and gave our namaskarams, as we call it, to Gandhi, paid our respects, and this nice impish smile he had is what really stands in my mind. And he asked us, how are you doing in school? Are you doing very well? That was his question he asked. And so our perspective was that he was a leader who tried to get independence from the British to us. And he used tactics like what you people will now know as satyagraha, which means embracing truth. Literally means embracing truth. If you embrace truth, then you will possibly get the end you want. And that satyagraha also essentially made into actions became non-violence and non-cooperation. You have seen sit-ins here nowadays of people protesting something, the same way it was used at that time. So we disobeyed the laws so that we can get the unfairness taken away from us. So we want to get that end, so embracing the truth always gets you to the end. And that's what even is given in the new motto of the Indian nation, which is Satyameva Jayate. If you, truth always conquers and wins, or put in Latin, vincit omnia veritas.
So thank you for answering my first question. My next question is, what did you learn in school about him?
We did not learn too much in school about him because we were still under the British curriculum. We learned English. And funny thing is, we learnt even the Gettysburg Address 77 years ago, and all that I still remember till today. But we were never taught about Gandhi or his ideals, even though we tried to, in our own strident way, use it. When Gandhi's wife died and they didn't give us a holiday or something, we protested by striking and going to the girls' school and asking the girls to come out of the classes also. So we did not learn too much about Gandhi or his ideals in school when I went.
Okay, so thank you for the first 2 questions. Now my third question. Do you think Gandhi and his teachings are valuable or useful in today's times?
I think 100% everybody thinks it is valuable. Why? Because there are lots of wars going on. After the Second World War, we have had the Korean War, we have had the Vietnam War, after Vietnam War, we had now Iraqi War I, Iraqi War II, Afghanistan War I, War II, and it keeps on going. Now the Syrian war. Or war might happen in Ukraine. So in order to avoid wars, I think there is certainly, we can use the Gandhian ideals, which are very simply stated. If you stand for the truth and embrace it and use non-violent methods, you will always come out ahead. And that should be our goal, and we should practice this even in our everyday life to avoid conflicts.
So, thank you for being my interviewee, and this interview will really help shape my project. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskaram.